Hello. G'day, g'day, g'day. I want to introduce myself, Megan Catherin. If you haven't been watching my spiritual adventures or my Navigating to New Earth or the channel, Megan Catherin Enlightenment, welcome, welcome. Okay, let's get into this spiritual adventure. So, if you were watching the last one, you would discover that a tattered book basically taught me that I had some unknown rules about how to read a book. So I want to kind of continue on that theme a little bit, because there was another instrumental book in my, I want to say soul books, because obviously I was opening those up. Maybe not obvious. It wasn't obvious to me in such new times, but down the track, I started to realize that there was all these soul books and I was opening them up. And I needed to follow the plan of what it was that was needing integrating. Needing to be found, needing to be remembered, all the fractured parts of myself and my behavior as it was coming through, my energy, all sorts of things that I was discovering, particularly through this fortnightly gathering that was in the pursuit of happiness. That was what we were looking to do, but under the guise of spiritual development. Well, that's what I discovered it was. I began to read a book at some point early in that year. I was still working a lot with my interior design business, so I didn't have a lot of time, but I'd already been taught how to read a book, and I started to read this particular one, Shift Happens by Robert Holden, who is all about happiness. He's written books on Be Happy, Happiness Now, all sorts of things. This was how to live an inspired life starting from now. And I have to say this was instrumental. But what was so important about this book was that it dived into all sorts of things that you may not have thought about before. Okay, when you take a step, a bridge appears, or let me see what else. Forgiveness gives you wings, or what else we got? Stop improving your life and start living. Interesting. So it was just these little takes, and each chapter is about 4 pages, if you're lucky. So what was brilliant about that was that I could start anywhere in the book that I was led. Remember, I was using the pendulum, so I could confirm that, okay, I've opened up to this, or I'm feeling I need to open to page, and I could check, yep, 180 defenses keep old wounds alive. As I said, 1, 2, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. Now I have dog tagged so many in here. They were obviously super important at that time. I've written little notes in the side bits here. Let me get my glasses, because I've opened one and I feel like I need to share it. So I've made a little note here, and these are some of the thoughts that come in. Stop living in night, dark, and ego. Start living in the white light of the soul. So I don't know, he's talking about some of that in there, wondered what it was. But yeah, it would begin to bring lots of things to my attention. I didn't know anything about the soul, and yet all these things were starting to bubble up around it. And what was brilliant was I kind of had a book that was leading me through it. And the confirmation that this was the right book to be reading was the fact that I was going to these groups and these fortnightly groups, and I might have read one of these chapters, led to detox your ego. And sure enough, I turn up to the group, and guess what we're doing? Detox your ego, or it's about ego, or things that maybe are written in here. And there's all these little, oh my God, I've just been reading about this. I could see the synchronicity. So I even more so began to be like, yep, no rules on where I read this book. I would read those 4 little pages, and whatever subject it was, keep smiling unless you feel like crying. Restyle your smile, I've written in pencil above the top. I was an interior designer, hey. And I have dog tagged that one too, so it was obviously important for some way. It was really standing out to me. This is underlined, got little crosses and bits everywhere, circles and writing, and I've never been able to let this book go. It's like a little gold mine. Even it's like acts as a deck of cards to give you something to look at. The beauty is that the shift was happening. I could feel the shift happening. Now, this book took me about 18 months to read, because I would be drawn to a particular chapter, check in with the pendulum. That's what I was using, but it wouldn't have been wrong if I just went with it. Didn't matter, right? And funnily enough, I was just finding that it was lining up. About halfway through 2011, I actually got brave and said to my girlfriend, can I come to your Monday weekly groups as well? Oh yeah, I got greedy. I was doing Monday support, spiritual support groups, and I was doing fortnightly Wednesdays. So weeklies and fortnightlies. And this book was lining up with it, along with a few other books. I wasn't all about this book, obviously, but I just could not believe how much it dived into the psyche of what I needed to go into. And there are a lot of books out there that do that. My recommendation here, find some books. Check this one out if you're feeling drawn. Only ever go with, oh, there's a yes in here, or I feel like I need it. You can never go wrong with, getting a self-help book, right? There's always going to be something in there. But the wonderful thing was that I was starting to book into my spirit's plan. What did my higher self have a plan for me? What did God, who had introduced himself through the other book, even though I was kind of like, no, as I crossed, no. I didn't want that yet. The universe was happy. I was fine with that. And possibly that's what I needed to do. I had to let go of any indoctrination and just be open to what was coming from these very new age people, and people who weren't very new age, but were as fascinated as me and seemed to be clicking on at the same time. So this group was coming together, and we were all sort of on the same path. Now I look back at it now and I realize that there was some soul contracts in amongst all of that. I'm not sure soul contracts hold as much sway, because soul itself, the monad structures and many of the things that were set up for us to experience life, aren't the major structure anymore. We're actually walking into a new plan already. And that's why I talk about navigating to the new earth. There is a framework that the new earth is allowing us to walk into, and we are making our own plan in that. So your spirit is constantly checking in with heavenly self and others and the universal workings to figure out on how and where and what it is going to be able to do, who it's going to meet, what books are out there, what emails, articles, people online, workshops, activities, and it doesn't have to all be spiritual. Sometimes you go to things, but there's very spiritual people there that you're just speaking to and you discover, or very wise people. Okay, personal development and evolving and growing can come in all different shapes and sizes, right? And it's what you're comfortable with. But at the same time, you will never book your new plan if you cannot let go of the old one. If you cannot let go of those limitations that you have put yourself in, like, for instance, your ego's life plan for you. How is my life supposed to turn out? What am I supposed to have in it? Right? So a lot of that is falsified belief or need. It is our emotional stuff. And there's also our spiritual stuff to be looked at. Okay, and how does that work? What is that? We've made all these thoughts and limitations around things, and that was what I was diving into. And this book, Shift Happens, with Robert Holden, was just amazing because it lined up so well, but not in a straight line front to back. Right? I was opening it up wherever I felt the need. In this moment, where do I feel the need? Feeling down the page. I don't know. I'll just turn over. Trust can transform everything. This is a story of fear and trust. Oh, okay. I get the sense that, here, fortunately, I did not try to control this panic. I simply let it fly because I did not resist the panic. It soon ran out of fuel, and then a beautiful thought occurred to me. What if it is in everyone's highest interest that you let this talk be spontaneous and without plan? Now I felt fear and excitement. Let me tell you, these aren't very planned. I actually come on here with a little bit of a concept, and then I see what comes out. Now, that was not me back then. I could talk in front of people. I'm a very good talker. Was it succinct? Is it still succinct? I don't know. I've let go of that. Is it good enough feeling? I'm in this place where if I've got something to say and people find it, beauty of YouTube, watch it for as long as little as you want, right? Your choice. And the beauty of that is that then you can come into something you may not have known was going to spark. Like, I don't have your answers, but I may have the spark or a tangent you can go looking into. Who knows? And that's what was happening with this book. I would sit in it for a while after reading it, and I started to learn to meditate. I know, right? Started to learn to go, oh, okay, I'm just going to sit in this energy and these thoughts and see what's coming up and contemplate. And that contemplation was the beginning of meditation for me. And it wasn't about getting rid of the thoughts. It was about paying attention to what was coming up. What awarenesses was I having? What needed my attention further? What was I thinking? How was I perceiving? And it was very interesting to have different points of view coming up, not just from the book or from the people in the group, but also from within myself. And you start to get that observer part of you, and who's going, what? Is that what I think? Is that how I feel? Why am I feeling like this? Okay. And it was like starting to almost separate yourself from the entanglement of who you are, who you think you are, who you behave as, who you're pushed to be, to just pull that apart, tease it apart. And that was this new plan I was getting, Spirit's plan. What did Spirit want me to know? What did I need to know? And how was I to heal? Where was I to go? So I'm recommending to you, follow that plan. It could be very random. But if you try these different things, go to these different people, there may be people you travel with for a while. I traveled with this group for quite some years because it just lined up. On some level, we had chosen to do this together, and certain people would come and certain people would go, but there was a core group that remained until it was defunct, until it no longer was our plan. And we all moved into different things. I still see some of those people. Some of those people are very close to me, and I still travel with them in the depths of where I am now. I just don't see them as often because we all have our thing. We have been lit up as light workers to go do our things, whatever they may be. So it's so fascinating to see, looking back. It is a bit of a little nostalgia trip for me to look back and go, wow, so 2011, 11 years ago, that's where I was. And this book pretty much took me through that year and into the next. And it was very much an enlightening time for me. I loved the ahas. It became like pulling apart the pieces and creating a new puzzle, creating a new picture, creating a new me. There was definitely a shift happening. So moving the shift for the shift, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, play on words. I did used to love it and still do a good play on words. Anyway, that's me. I'm wrapping this up, and I would love for you to subscribe for the vibe, send to a friend, please. And yeah, I will see you perhaps on the inside on my Patreon group, my monthly membership. Again, Megan Catherin Enlightenment. You can see the links there. That's our mystic coursework. But otherwise, good luck with the journey, and feel free to make comments and let people know all about where you're at. And together we'll piece this plan. Who are we? What are we? Where are we going? Let's make some shifts. See you. Oh, yep. See ya. Doing the last bit. I've got to do my trademark.